Hello and welcome to the Doctors Who podcast. My name is Chris, and today we are continuing our Discussing Dune series, where we discuss Dune by Frank Herbert. In this section, Paul and Jessica are taken to Stilgar's Sietch, where Paul finds out that by besting Jamis in combat, not only does he get Jamis's water, but he also gets his wife and kids. Heyo. It's a little awkward since he's 15 and is jonesing for another chick, but hey, whatever. Also, interestingly enough, this Sietch has their own Reverend Mother, and Lady Jessica must take the water of life to replace this aging, elderly woman who will not survive the journey from the Sietch. So, what is the water of life, you ask? Well, you just stay put right there, and we'll tell you all about it after this. Okay, welcome again to the Doctors Who podcast. My name is Chris.
And I'm Chip.
And I'm Brian.
Okay, so before we jump right in, we need to take a moment to thank Nick Eimerman at N. Eimerman Design Company. Nick is a very talented graphic designer who not only did our logo, but also all of our graphics and our overlays. You can find him at nimerman.com or at @nimerman_design on Instagram. All right. Let's jump right in. Who would like to give their thoughts on this section first? I can go. Okay. I'm going to go.
Okay.
And then I'll go to Chip, and then I'll go to Brian. All right. So, what I liked about this was we got some additional insight on, the Sietch culture, like the society of the Fremen. They are preparing to leave because they're being hunted by the Harkonnens, but life is just like going on for them. They're still doing the things that they do every day, and Paul is amazed by this. It's also kind of weird to me that Paul not only inherited Jamis's water, but he also got like his house, his wife, and his kids. So that was a little strange. And the whole Reverend Mother water of life scene / revelation was really pretty crazy as well. Chip, it's to you.
Yeah, all of that is interesting. I think that to think of a 15-year-old kid who, by way of this duel to the death he had with Jamis, now he inherits everything of Jamis's, including his wife and kids. And, there's some decisions he has to make with that. The whole water of life ceremony with the Lady Jessica, that's just one of the coolest scenes, that we've read so far. And the fact that, she doesn't tell them that she's pregnant, and she's got this unborn daughter who, by way of this ceremony, now has complete consciousness and knowledge of all of the Bene Gesserit. So I remember reading somewhere that somebody kind of likened it to original sin within, Christian is born with all of this knowledge that she shouldn't really have to bear. But, she is a very interesting character, and I can't wait till we get to see more of her.
There is so much that happened in here. I mean, we could really just expound upon this for an hour or two just by itself. But that water of life ceremony was fantastic. I really liked the science-y portion of that. This was the first time that I really felt like, when you talk about old school sci-fi, I think of like the original series, and I felt like this was a callback to, 60s. It just had that real like raw sci-fi feel to it. But the wrinkle of the sister being able to understand all of this information, even though she wasn't born yet, and all of the implications. Is she going to be normal? Is she going to be crazy? Yeah, there's just a whole lot here to unpack, and I don't know how we can cover it all in such a short time, but good luck to us. It was awesome.
Yeah, how do we even start to unpack this? Why don't we start with, maybe Jamis's wife seeing Paul for the first time and just having this like look of confusion and disdain, like, this kid bested my Jamis.
Yeah. But we also found out that Jameis, bested her first husband too. So
And
this
his name
isn't the
was
first time this
Jeff,
has
by the way.
happened. Jeff.
Or was it
I think we
Chad?
went
I
with
can't remember.
Chet.
I
He seems like a Chet.
Chet.
I don't remember why that
Yeah.
was funny last time we tried to do this, but for those watching, we recorded these episodes initially 2 weeks ago, realized that we had some audio glitches, and so now we're re-recording them and presenting them to you better than they were before.
It was probably Chet's
That's a good
fault.
point. Yeah. Let's blame Chet.
He's not here to
That's
defend
right.
himself.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
son of a.
He did.
Yeah, so she's
But that
All right. So could you imagine inheriting a wife when you were 15? I couldn't imagine killing somebody in single combat when I was
no.
15 either. So that still hasn't happened yet.
which is probably
Plan on
good,
that happening, but
right?
yeah, probably frowned
yeah.
upon in our society. But in the Fremen culture, though, it's a big thing,
Well, I mean,
and
I
it's
think
important. So is what the so he has a decision to make with Hera, where he can decide to take her as his wife, or is it keep her as a
Yeah.
servant for a year and then she can walk away
Yeah.
from it, right?
Yes.
Is
Yeah.
it
So
something
if
like
he
that?
takes her as a servant, she's a servant for a year, and then at that point, I think she has the option to be free. It sounds like that's not what she wants, though, because he actually says, "As long as I live, you'll have a place with me." And she's disappointed that he went the servant route and not like the wife route, because she's like, hey, look at me, I'm still rocking it in all the right places, dude. But
Yeah.
which
And you may be the chosen
right,
one, and
yeah. I mean,
this is
some
all.
of it might be the fact that he might be, the one that's been prophesied. That probably has played some part in her,
Yeah.
like, no, I want to be attached to this in more than just a servant role. But
Yeah.
that's a good point.
But what an interesting dynamic, because she's all concerned about her kids and her future and everything else, and Paul, as you said, commits to, as long as I shall live, you'll be near me, or you'll be by my side, or like you'll be with me for as long as you want to be. And it's like, man, he is really overcommitting here. But I wonder if in part he made that decision because he doesn't want to be seen as just a bringer of jihad, but also maybe more compassionate than just like someone who's there to lead people into battle. I don't know. Because he had that prophecy where
Yeah.
he saw himself leading this great. I don't know. I could definitely see this being part of like compensating, trying to not be the ruthless person he's afraid he
Well,
might
and
become.
let's also remember that from a very young age, he has been taught to lead and to inspire, and he's been taught how to read people and probably how to get what he wants out of people. So I would say that's not just like
Yeah.
on a whim that he says that. I think it has to be part of a plan, whether it's part of what he sees when he looks into the future, whether it's his gut instinct saying, no, she might play a part later, you should keep her around, whatever that is. I mean, I feel like it's not something that was just like decided lightly,
Mm-hmm.
So
I could see that.
So another thing that happens here, not necessarily with Paul, but Chani finds out that Liet has been killed or is dead. And we also find out then that Chani is Liet's daughter, which I think was kind of an important thing that we didn't really know that until now, if I recall correctly.
No, I was really surprised when I read that. I was like, how did I miss this before? But yeah, I don't think we talked about it.
No,
Like,
I don't
even in
think
the
it was
book.
mentioned before now. Yeah, it's interesting how the Fremen culture kind of deals with death, right? Because I know when she resurfaces later, I think she's wearing like green or something that's supposed to be like the color of
Green,
mourning
wasn't it?
for them. Was Hera, was Jameis's wife, also wearing green because Jameis was killed, or is there just some facet of this that we don't know about where it's like, okay, well, it was a duel, so the same rules don't apply to the fact that, Liet died out in the desert because the Harkonnens are jerks. I don't know.
Hera made a comment like she would mourn at the appropriate time for the appropriate length. Like it sounded like that's
Yeah.
part of their culture, is just like for a duel, I'm guessing it
She's
just must be
like,
different.
yeah, I've got 10 to 2 on Thursday. I'll mourn then. I don't know.
Oh boy.
Yeah, actually, when he meets Hera, it says that she sees a strange woman wearing a flowing wraparound garment of brilliant orange and green, and that was when he met
Okay.
her. So she did have some green on.
Oh.
Did she know at that point, or did Stilgar have to tell her?
Well, Stilgar brought
Oh, okay.
her forward, or went and found an open space, and there's something there. I think Stilgar is the one that maybe said something to her, or maybe she, I don't know.
Got it. Yeah.
Who knows? But
Yeah.
but it does say that she was wearing orange and green.
But she's...
And that's when she says, "This bested my Jameis."
Yeah, he's like, yeah, I get that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
But as she takes him around the Sietch, I think because they're on the way to Jameis's house, which is now his house, because he's like, I'm tired. But she's telling him about how they're packing up to leave because the Harkonnens are hunting them and it's no longer safe. And this is where he's like kind of looking around and he's like, these people are over here making potato salad and these people are over here doing whatever. So it strikes him as strange that even though they're getting ready to flee their homes because they're being hunted, they're still doing the same normal tasks that they do every day, which is interesting.
Kind of reminded me of the whole spice harvester scene where they just keep working until the last minute and then they get lifted off and move. So.
It also sounds a little bit like Exodus. Like if you're an old school Old Testament reader and you're familiar with the story of Moses, where they are waiting for the promised one to deliver them out of the desert, they really kind of were doing their normal stuff until they were suddenly asked to flee, and then they just took whatever they had and just walked out the door with it.
Point.
So
good point, Brian.
That's a very good.
I knew there was a reason we kept you around besides your impeccable taste in friends and your good looks.
Oh. And I might actually take this moment to thank my wife. She bought me an early Christmas gift, and we're months away from Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
But she bought me, because I'm doing this book with you guys, she bought me this really fancy glass. It's just from a shop on Etsy, and it actually it's called Laser Engraved Merch on Etsy. But
did that say Arrakis?
It does say Arrakis, and it has the
really
map
cool.
of the planet.
That's really
on the
cool.
Side. And I filled it with beer and I'm drinking it.
Good job,
it's
Brian's
delicious.
wife.
We need to end this pandemic so we can actually do these in person again.
That's right.
We'll take this offline and figure out a solution for that.
Oh boy.
Well, I heard that we turned the corner, but I'm not sure which corner was turned. So
maybe we'll put it in next month's sprint.
All right, that's enough of our political digression. So.
Yes.
I want to talk more politics of Dune.
Let's do that. In fact,
because there's a lot of that here too.
Do we want to jump to the Lady Jessica Reverend Mother scene?
I think we should. That's the big
It's
scene here.
huge for a number of reasons, and we knew from Stilgar and Jessica's previous conversation that there was a Reverend Mother here. I don't think Jessica knew what to expect, really, because that strikes me as not something that you have on every planet, much less every backwater planet. But but
it's kind of the plotting here is good, but I think the whole idea that the Sietch is getting ready to pack up and move is just, the timing is great for Jessica because she's coming in, and this Reverend Mother is very old and is not going to make this trip.
Yeah.
So there's all of a sudden an opportunity for her to move into that
And
role.
she is.
So from a plotting perspective, it's a good move to move Jessica
She
into
is
this
ever
position.
the opportunist.
And believable.
Yeah,
Which
right?
Yeah.
Just 2 chapters ago, she was wanting to be Stilgar's wife, or at
she
least
was
I know.
considering it,
One of his wives.
But I mean, you really can't blame them. They are on a hostile planet that they're not familiar with, and that they know they need the Fremen to survive. So, like, she's been using every trick in her book, from the Missionaria Protectiva to, her fighting style with the weirding way, to make them
To the voice.
invaluable. And Paul's just been like ticking off the Mahdi boxes one at a time. So yeah, I don't blame them for that, but yeah, she definitely reads like an opportunist sometimes.
But she finally gets to meet this individual.
Yeah.
Although, actually, I'm jumping too far ahead.
Are you? I think you're good.
Not really.
I just
Because they basically go and wake her up and say,
The Reverend Mother wants to see you.
she's being summoned.
And then she's
yes, that's right. Yep.
And then because doesn't Shawnee come to get her and then
yeah.
take her to the Reverend Mother? And
Then they jump
they,
in
I think
Shawnee's
she asked if she wants to
Escalade
wake
and
up
they
Paul
drive
to
down the
to attend the
strip,
ceremony.
rolling
Yeah.
with my homies. Sorry.
Yeah. They kind of went out for the homies though with
That's
the Water
true.
of
Yeah.
Life.
So,
It's true.
but let's kind of talk about this, right? In order to become a Reverend Mother, at least on Arrakis, we don't know what it looks like elsewhere, but you must consume the Water of Life. And basically what it is it's poison, and if Jessica's able to turn the poison into something safe within her own body and not die, then she becomes a Reverend Mother. Which, let's be honest, that was kind of amazing all on its own. But it is just one of
Yes, it was.
this pile of incredible things that happen in this section. So,
My gosh. Well, and this is where, she was asked to drink this potion in front of everyone. She drank it out of the bag, and then Shawnee's like forcing it down her throat, trying to get this entire bag's contents or a lot of it into her mouth. And this is where she starts breaking down the science. She's like, what's going on? And she sort of like slows time down, and she's able to break down the individual molecules that are going into her mouth. And she realizes, okay, this was, this element this is a poison. I need to change the contents of this to be drinkable. And I really like that, the science-y portion of this. It really just, I don't know, like it really just clicked for me. It worked out really well. And
well, so if we go all the way back to the beginning of this book, that they do not use computers or anything like that because of the
They use
Butlerian
mentats.
Jihad and things like
Yeah,
that. So they have
Right. So there's this
they have mentats
Technology
that handle
movement,
like the
you know,
math
that-
and the computation. They've got the Bene Gesserits, and then they've got the
the
Thank
Spacing
you.
Guild
Yes.
is the
Yes.
other guys manage
oh yeah,
travel and
and these three sects have really risen up to excel in certain areas to collectively replace the hole that was left by that absence of technology. So I guess over the course of what I'm guessing is thousands of years, I'm not shocked that these sort of abilities developed. Yeah, I'm going with that. Yeah. But to your point, I just lost it. Never mind. Go ahead. You keep talking. I'm just shut up.
yeah. Was there Was there spice in the was there spice
Yeah,
in the bag?
yeah. There's spice because wasn't it made from it's a newborn worm that they somehow collect
That's right.
the
That they drowned.
in the movie it was the bile of the newborn worm, but I can't remember. But yeah, they drown a maker and then collect the water or something. So it's laden with spice, and that's
Mm.
kind of going back to the 60s and the acid craze and stuff. It really, it's
Mhm.
this whole mind altering experience that she goes
Yeah.
through. So I'm sure that, Herbert was thinking that, but really made it cool in here,
Yeah.
that it's more of a ritual and a rite than it is just, some drug
Right.
induced
So
hallucination.
she manages to turn it, but she's still kind of like in this trance as the other whatever else is in this thing kind of takes hold of her, and she's like she can see all these things, and then like the Reverend Mother is in there with her and is like explaining all of these things, and at that point the
Hmm.
Reverend Mother realizes that Jessica's pregnant, and she says, and I quote, "Holy Mother, what have we done?" Now, I think they do allude that if this had been a male, it would not have survived, but because it was a female, it was just quote unquote
Right.
gifted with the awareness of all the Bene Gesserit that have come before, which is a
Mm.
pretty terrible
Yeah,
pre-birthday
because this is
gift, if you
where,
ask me.
yeah, because isn't she kind of communicating with her daughter at that point, or trying to
Hmm.
calm her down because her daughter's mind is just kind of going off and
I
racing,
think the
and
Reverend
you know
Mother's like,
the
you need
the
to
Reverend,
just kind of like not go to Wakanda, but like embrace,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
But
But
and I
It
think they
says
still
that
made the
only,
comment,
it's really Jessica's love and compassion for her that kind of keeps her from going insane.
right? Yeah,
So
yeah. That was.
that kind
Go
of
ahead, Brian.
it kind of reminded me a little bit of Doctor Who with Amy Pond and the baby, and is it going to be a time
Yeah,
baby, or even like having your child look directly into the time vortex? Like
yeah,
this doesn't sound like a very good thing for the future of this child,
right.
but
yeah.
we'll
Yeah.
see what happens. She might go crazy, or she might be
So
normal, or
She might be
right,
River Song.
she might be River Song.
but after this happens, like Jessica like continues to like kind of go down this rabbit hole that she's now able to access, so she can see, the history of the Fremen from like this soft people to being slaves to eventually coming to Arrakis and becoming the hardened people that they are today. She gets to see what the water of life is, what she actually drank, and up till now we've not seen,
Hmm.
excuse me, or read exactly what it is, but we've gotten like little hints here and there, I think.
Yeah,
But, Maker is a sandworm. They basically drown this thing. It pukes. They collect the puke. They feed it to a lady and hope she doesn't die. Did I get that right?
hmm,
Okay, cool.
I think pretty much.
That
All
sounds
right, yeah.
right at the high
And
level,
then
yeah.
she comes out of the trance because she's transformed the waters. Everybody else drinks it, and then they have a giant orgy. I was
That's a
going to
very
say,
60s
it's a
thing to
product
do.
of its time.
Yep.
Yeah,
But everybody's like going around and drinking out of this, and like it comes to Paul, and he's nervous because he doesn't want to get like,
yeah, because of his
yeah,
last experience with
Hmm.
really like
yeah,
unrefined spice. He had that whole chapter that was kind of like this. It was a big mind-opening
right.
experience. I don't know if you, not really chapters since there's no chapters really, but it was a
Hmm.
couple hundred pages ago when they first
Hmm.
got lost in the desert.
Yeah, but he eventually he takes a sip and he goes off with Cheney, and um, as this
We presume they
do the
got it
deed.
on. Is
I
that
don't
what the
know.
kids call
I'm
it these
far from
days?
a kid, and my kids are 4 and 6, so that's not regular conversation at the dinner table.
Thank
Mine are
goodness.
other
So, but
stories.
as
So
the drug
yeah.
takes hold, it says it was like ripping away the curtains to let him see the distant gray turmoil of the future. So he saw things like fade flashing toward him like a deadly blade. He saw the Sardaukar raging off their planet toward Arrakis. He saw the Guild with their conniving and their plotting. The Bene Gesserit with their selective breeding programs. And it said they lay massed like a thunderhead on his horizon, held back by no more than the Fremen and their Muad'Dib, the sleeping giant Fremen poised for their wild crusade across the universe.
Hmm.
And I think the very next line, Paul just sees himself at the center of all of this. Everything's kind of
Yeah.
pivoting around him.
So it's, yeah. Now, so last time something like this happened, we had a whole chapter where he was just like dealing with the changes. So it'll be interesting going forward if we get some of the same thing or if we maybe don't get that this time around. But
Yep.
Well, I'm wondering too, since it's the end of part 2, if there's a little bit of time between parts 2 and 3. I guess we'll find out next time. But
If I
I'm curious to
recall
see.
correctly, there is a time jump, so we'll see. But yeah, book 3 is the Prophet. So we've had I can't remember what the first one was. It Dune or Arrakis? Then Muad'Dib was the one we just finished, and now we move on to the Prophet. So yeah, things are happening, and there's not a lot of book left.
So recently I watched the sci-fi miniseries that aired in the, I think, early 2000s. And I remember a time jump from about this point to maybe a couple years off, where Paul and Chani have a child, and they're basically acclimated within Fremen life in the Sietch now. So I don't know. I don't remember if that was like artistic license that they took with the series or if that's something that actually happened in the book, but it'll be kind of fun to see.
I think for some reason I think that they do have a time jump of a couple of years maybe in the book, but
Hey,
we'll
I
talk
think we
about that
will.
next time.
All right. So, as always, we invite you to use the comment section below. We would love to carry on this conversation with you. So, thoughts, questions, comments, what did we get right? What did we get wrong? Any of that, we'd love to hear it. Also, please, if you enjoyed this video, click the like button. We also invite you to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you get notifications whenever we post something to our channel. As always, it's been a pleasure spending time with you. We hope you'll join us next time for the next edition of the Doctors Who podcast.
Until then.